Hey everybody, this is Brandon Luna, and I just wanted to let you know that the Luna Podcast Group is expanding. If you're a fan of Love to Hate, don't forget to check out our two brand new shows, Fright Flicks and Second Chance Cinema. Also, don't forget, there's a lot of great content on the Luna Podcast Group already. We've got 200 plus episodes of Calypso's Cigar Review and Cigars and Cinema. So check out all of our great content on the Luna Podcast Group at iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, or YouTube.
Hey kids, we're back, which means you're back, which is a good thing because we want to have you listening to us as we recap the 90s yet again on this week's edition of Love to Hate. I'm Philip Fullman.
And I am Brandon Luna.
So, the 90s, TV took up a lot of time in the 90s.
It did, yeah.
A lot of our time. But there was more to the 90s than just watching television.
Right.
There were also movies. There was also music.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody got elected president, and some people weren't happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
There was other stuff as well. I think we went to war. But really, guessing our demographic, I'm going to say the interesting stuff is movies and music.
Yeah. I think I can honestly say those two things took up more of my time than television did in the 90s.
Yeah. I would say I probably more television than movies in the 90s. But music, the 90s was a big period for me.
Yeah.
Because that involved a genre switch for me.
Oh, yeah?
A huge genre switch.
All right, let's hear it. You went, I know, it involves you going to the Seattle thing because you always wear the...
No.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, to look at me, you'd think I was listening to grunge.
Right.
I went country.
You went country in the 90s?
I went country in the 90s.
I don't even fucking know you anymore.
Dude, yeah.
Wait, what was 90s country?
Clint Black, Garth Brooks.
Okay, that's respectable.
Susie Bogus. I mean, it wasn't the shit they have now. By the way,
Lyle Lovett was 90s, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you had some good shit then.
I don't remember the guy's name. I'll have to find it. He's a YouTube critic, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
He deconstructs modern country and kind of trashes, and he talks about how they all have this rhythm to them.
Right.
And that's the percussion. So all this country sounds like just hick rap, basically. And that it's not this kind of classic country, which is odd to hear people describe Garth Brooks as classic.
Right. That was
because
the
he
end.
was such a big game changer in the 90s.
He was classic and pop melded. It was the beginning of that.
It was. A program director that I worked for at a country station. Part of the reason I went country, I was surrounded by it.
Right.
But he said that is the adult contemporary of the 70s and the 80s.
I can
was
see
the
that,
90s
yeah.
country.
I can see
because
that.
pop music took on an urban rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and it changed, and then you saw that pick up in country.
Right.
So I really started listening to a lot of country music. Diamond Rio, Travis Tritt.
So no Belle Biv DeVoe for you. No.
No, although I was aware, had I been working in Ray's, I remember that song from Belle Biv DeVoe.
Right. Something
They
about
were the guy. Wait,
girl
were
with
they were the guys from New Kids on the Block,
big
right?
ass and a smile.
Am I right?
What? Yeah, it was. But they were. Yeah, they were
Okay.
offshoots of that. So they
Yeah,
split up
they-
and did their own things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know Bobby Brown was the thing in the
Right,
90s.
right, yeah.
Bobby Brown, by the way, killed Whitney Houston. It's
Yeah?
a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drove her to drugs.
You know she didn't do crack before Bobby.
That's true. Crack is
I mean,
whack.
Bobby will drive anybody to crack. I mean, if I had to live with him, I'd be like, all right, I guess there's worse.
So yeah, country music was big.
So yeah, that was big because I loved hair metal
Mm-hmm.
and just that style of rock, and then it went grunge,
Right.
and I was
didn't work
out.
for you. Yeah.
No, and I guess in retrospect now I can hear some of it and appreciate it. And like, that's not so bad. But at the time,
Wasn't your thing.
I really don't like 90s vocalist.
Yeah.
I think the vocals were not the emphasis.
They weren't. Yeah.
So
Well,
I just
you
kinda-
the friggin' Pearl Jam with Mr. Mumbles there singing.
Yeah.
There was you couldn't understand a thing that guy was saying, but
You know, it's
it was good
funny
music.
because I've learned there are songs of the 90s I like. I just hate the singer.
Eddie Vedder's a big one. Yeah.
Wonderwall, whoever, Oasis,
Yeah.
whoever
Oasis.
their lead singer is.
That whiny.
I hate
know,
that
me
song.
Too, me too.
I
'Cause
heard
it's
my
just
buddy-
so. It's so.
I
It's
heard
so
Joey
whiny.
do it just at a bar. He was just doing a
Right.
show. He sang. I'm like, that's great.
The way he did it. Right.
Yeah, because he actually sings, and it's
Right.
not that nasally whatever.
Yeah. I got you.
So that was kind of where music lost me. So I did a complete switch. I was wearing Well, I always kind of wore tight jeans. But the Western shirt, the cowboy hat, yeah. I was told I had to stop wearing those. The cowboy boots. Yeah, exactly. I wasn't honky talking about Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good country, and now I listen to it, and I'm like, oh, this all sucks.
Yeah.
Now it's all like dude bro country.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
dude, got my truck jacked up. I'm jacked up. I'm drinking Jack Daniels.
Exactly.
Picked up a girl in Daisy Dukes. Basically, country music these days is all stereotype and checking off a list.
Right.
So...
Yeah, or it's very pop based. I mean, now it's up at the
Yes.
level where it's indistinguishable from
It pretty much is.
And there's so much crossover back and forth between Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift and all that shit. I mean,
yeah.
it's all over the place.
I've lost interest in it now.
For me, it kind of stopped at Garth Brooks. Before that, with George Strait, I was okay with George Strait.
George
and all
Strait's
that stuff.
great.
But it was more the older stuff for me. It was Hank Williams and all that.
Willie
That's what I grew up
Nelson.
with. Willie Nelson. Yeah,
Willie's still great. Who doesn't love Willie?
right.
So, but what were you listening to? Because you were...
I was, again, I've always been kind of all over the place musically, so I
Right.
was listening to rap and pop and, heavy metal and whatever else. I did get into the grunge stuff. I liked a lot of it. I was
Yeah.
never a fan of Nirvana, even though they were kind of the start of it. I was more of a Soundgarden guy, and there was people like that. When you talk about 90s rock, it's like Nirvana or Soundgarden. There's usually like a real big divide there. So for me, it was Soundgarden. I liked Chris Cornell's vocals better.
Yeah,
and,
he does have a good voice.
He has a
Or
great
did.
voice.
He
He
died, right?
did. Yeah,
All right.
it's committed suicide. So yeah, that was the route that I took. So this is a list here from Spin Magazine of like the top albums of the '90s, and number one on the list was Nirvana, Nevermind. So
Really?
yeah, number one.
I
on the
can
list.
see that
because it was
that ushered in the genre.
It really did usher in the genre. Yeah, Public Enemy, Fear of the Black Planet, fucking phenomenal. PJ Harvey, which I never listened to, was number 3. Beck Odelay was number 4, which I thought was great.
That's what is that the one that has 2 turntables and a microphone?
No, I think it's the one before that. The one
Okay.
with I don't know. It's got a bunch down. Anyway, I can't. Loser. That one.
All right.
That was his first big one. And then Pavement, Slantin' Enchanted. I don't know what that is. Hole was number 6, which is a kind of a
Really?
travesty. Yeah. Bjork was number 7.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre was number 8 with The Chronic, which is a great album. Number 9 was Radiohead, OK Computer, which I absolutely loved. I love Radiohead. 10 was Chemical Brothers, Dig Your Own Hole. That was when the 90s was when that whole EDM thing started coming into
Nine Inch
play.
Nails,
Nine Inch Nails, Chemical
Manson.
Brothers, Marilyn Manson. There's a whole bunch of the Prodigy. There's a lot of those guys that came into play then, and they were all over that stuff.
Lords of Acid.
Yeah, Lords of Acid, 92. Number 11, Nine Inch Nails, Downward Spiral. Number 12, Beastie Boys, Check Your Head. Fucking awesome.
I like Beastie Boys.
Yeah. 13 got Liz Pharr. 14 was Tricky. I don't know that CD, though, but I like Tricky. Number 15 was DJ Shadow, another of the EDM guys that kind of crossed over. My Bloody Valentine. 16, the Fugees. The Score, number 17. Great.
They did a version of Killing Me Softly. I
Fucking
really liked
awesome. Fucking awesome CD. Nirvana's In Utero is number 18. Octoon Baby from U2 was when U2 shifted their sound.
Yeah.
In the 90s. They
A lot
went
of it,
from
like,
rock
they
to
sold
this.
out.
Yeah, all this like techno rock basically is what they turned into. Moby at number 20, which again, the EDM stuff, DJ things. Sleater Kinney, I don't know that at all. That was number 21. Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the Wu-Tang, fucking awesome. Number 22, Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream was kind of the last good Smashing Pumpkins album before they kind of trailed down, I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
Massive Attack, great album. Blue Lines, number 24. Rage Against the Machine was their debut in the 90s, and they were a big thing. Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die, great friggin' album. Lauryn Hill's Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was in the 90s, and that was a big one. Awesome CD for her. Bob Dylan came back with Time Out of Mind.
That was... I did not know this. The To Make You Feel My Love, he wrote that in 97.
Yeah.
It might have been on that album. I thought that was an older song.
Right. Yeah, and then you got Tori Amos, Tribe Called Quest, Pearl Jam, so on and so forth. Outkast, Aquamini, which is awesome.
So this is their top
Aquamini,
rock album?
This is just everything. Covers like all. It doesn't really have country. This is from
Is this
Spin.
their rankings, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm surprised the two that I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
How is Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette and Crack Review by Hootie not higher?
I don't know. I'm still going through it.
That's weird.
Yeah, Fugazi.
Those are the two that I always think of.
The Breeders, REM, Portishead became a big deal for a little bit there. Sinead O'Connor.
Did that come out?
That was in the 90s, yep. LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. Awesome. Sublime hit big in 96. Their first debut album, and then the dude goes...
I've heard of all these bands, couldn't tell you one of the songs.
Right.
I probably heard it, don't know it belongs to them.
Right. Yeah, I was into a lot of this stuff. Metallica, TLC was a big deal. Crazy, Sexy, Cool. Metallica's Black Album was big. Green Day's Dookie. Neil Young and Crazy Horse had a comeback. Cypress Hill. Chili Peppers' Blood Sugar Sex Magic, one of the top 10 albums of all time.
I hate the Chili Peppers.
Love that album. Love you.
God,
love Chili Peppers. Hate you now.
I hate his voice.
I'll kill you. Let's see. Prodigy was in there. Pavement, Lucinda Williams, Basshead. That's it. So this doesn't have a lot of genres in it.
I was going to say, because I don't recognize a lot of... Well, I mean, I recognize them, but it's not...
That was a list on Pitchfork, so...
Okay.
Yeah. Who knows?
And Bare Naked Ladies actually hit in the 90s,
too. They did,
yeah. Shoot. It's not They Might... Was it They Might Be Giants?
They Might Be Giants,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, those guys are weird. Everybody in my family likes that band, but me. I can't do it.
You can't do it?
I see. It's a voice thing for me on that one. I can't take his voice. I could take Anthony Kiedis' weird little thing because there's such good musicians in that band, but
right.
I can't take They Might Be Giants.
No, I couldn't.
Not my jam. Not my jam at all.
Did they have Jane's Addiction on there?
They didn't.
Yeah,
it was a crap list.
Yeah, it was really an odd list. There wasn't a lot. I mean, I wasn't expecting country, but
I liked a lot of stuff on there though. Switch to flip a switch to movies.
All right.
What are some big movies you remember from the 90s?
Natural Born. I remember Natural Born Killers came out.
Basic Instinct was a big one.
Not a big one. Basic Instinct. Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Reservoir Dogs.
And the best movie ever made, Showgirls.
No, my God. As I watch Twin Peaks, I look at Kyle MacLachlan and I'm like, what the hell, dude? I'm like, really? You did that? That to me is, I cannot think of the comedian's name. I can see his face. It doesn't matter. But he was on Johnny Carson talking about the movies that they show late night on Cinemax and whatnot. And he goes, yeah, they're so bad, I don't even care that there's naked people. It's like, oh, look, nudity. Yeah, I'll go read a book. It's like, and Showgirls is kind of that way. You're like, oh, yeah, there's naked people, but I don't care. This just...
An awful movie.
No, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's not enough.
You had The Rock. Welcome to The Rock.
Welcome to The Rock.
Yeah.
Special Agent Stanley Goodspeed.
Yeah, good stuff.
Begrudgingly, I liked that movie, and I begrudgingly liked Con Air.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Yeah, I love them both.
I don't want to like Con Air.
It's so bad it's good, though. So bad. Blair Witch Project was a big one.
I enjoyed that.
I got a story about that. So,
all right.
I had friends in,
I know you do.
Some of my friends that are in the film industry or whatever. They sent me screeners back in the day, Oscar screeners and shit via VHS back in the day. And he sent me this tape, and he's like, dude, you got to see this thing. He goes, I don't know. Someone gave it to me. I got it from a friend, whatever. Just watch it. Let me know what you think. He was like, it's going to be kind of boring at the beginning, but it's fucking really cool. Watch the whole thing. I'm like, all right, fine. So I put it on, got through like the first 5 minutes. I'm like, fuck this thing. I'm not going to watch it. Turned it off. Came back like a couple weeks later, finally sat down, watched the whole thing, and I was like, holy fuck, is this real? Like, everybody was just like, you just think, like, for a brief second in your head, like, this might be real. Like, this can't be fucking real. Like, and I started trying to look stuff up on this. I couldn't find anything about it.
And it was a brilliant marketing campaign.
And then, like, 6 months later, it's coming out in the movies, and I'm like, oh, okay. So that was that thing I saw. But then they added sound effects to it and jazzed it up a little bit and changed the ending.
Yeah, it was a great way to have that found footage. Like, oh, my God, wait. Could this be? It's plausible.
Right.
That somebody just found this. But, and there were people who were like, no, it's real. Like, no, all right. It's not real. But that kicked off a whole genre of horror film.
Yep.
That you would know about as far as the found footage.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of most of them?
Most of them are not great. I think it's a genre that's in the right person's hands turns out very well, but most people can't do it right, and it doesn't work. 90%
Did it become
of
one of those things that because of the
there was
the
a
way
ton
it's
of them,
done that it's easy for anybody to just produce, not necessarily do well, obviously.
Right,
but just,
right.
It's easy to make.
Yeah, I mean, that one was a big one, and then you got Paranormal Activity was the other one that was made for virtually nothing and made a ton of money because someone saw a potential in it, and that became another one of those found footage things that was a big deal. That's probably the other big one, really, besides Blair Witch.
I haven't seen that one. They've done, and I know they've done several spin-offs of that.
Right. So Pump Up the Volume, were you a big fan? Christian Slater in the 90s?
Christian Slater. Yeah, I think I did see it. It's been a while, though.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was a big one in the 90s.
Didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it.
wait.
Life is Beautiful?
That wasn't the 90s,
That was
was
the
it?
90s, yeah.
Was that late 90s?
Probably. It was listed in the 90s.
I did. So I watched that art theater. I was living in Kansas City at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the original French version. Much better. If you're going to watch a foreign film,
watch it in the...
don't watch... Yeah, and watch the subtitles. Man, that...
It ripped you up, didn't it?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't on my no Holocaust film thing that I am now.
Right.
Now I'm just like, look, I don't need a reminder. I got it. But yeah, great film.
Great film, yeah.
Great film.
I was so happy he won. It was like such a great
Roberto Benigni he's a character.
He is, yeah.
Have you seen him? I think it also came out in the 90s. Coffee and Cigarettes?
Yeah, Coffee and Cigarettes is great.
The scene with him and Stephen Wright, just two polar opposite. I love that scene. Just because he's over there spazzing out, and Stephen Wright, you can't tell if he has a pulse.
Right.
And just the two of them talking.
Yep. It's great stuff. Great stuff. I know you're probably not a fan of this guy's movies, but Happy Gilmore was big in the 90s.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah. I have seen Happy Gilmore. Saw The Wedding Singer. But his best film is still Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love's great.
Yeah.
It's a perfect role for him. I'm a fan of this movie, but I know a lot of people aren't. It's 50-50. Hook.
Didn't see it.
Never
I was
saw Hook?
never a huge Robin Williams guy.
Okay.
Liked him in Mork and Mindy, and then I just really had a hard time not associating him with that.
Singles?
Matt Dillon was in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. That was kind of like the grunge romance movie.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Mortal Kombat came out. That was a big deal.
It's true.
Yep.
I didn't play it till the 2000s, but
Sister Act was a big one.
yeah, the end Sister Act too.
Electric Boogaloo.
Back in the Habit. God,
Right.
how do I fucking remember that's the subtitle of that movie that I haven't seen?
American Beauty was a great one.
Oh yeah, Kevin. That
Kevin
was
Spacey, yeah. Great
big
flick.
for him when he still had a career.
Right, before he decided to molest people.
You know, the beautiful thing of that movie is right away with his voiceover, they tell you at the beginning of the movie, we talked last week about Sixth Sense and how you knew,
Right.
Bruce Willis is dead. Kevin Spacey tells you at the beginning of the movie, I am dead. But by the end of the movie, it's kind of like you've forgotten that he said that.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, yeah, crap, he was dead. 'Cause
Right.
you just kind of get wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of his better roles. I've always liked him as an actor.
Yeah. Great actor.
Yeah, and that was one of his, like I said, best roles. I think he won an Academy Award for that.
yeah,
didn't
he did.
Yeah.
Fantastic role for him. Glenn Ross was a big one. Fun movie. Love that movie. Holds up. Still holds up.
Oh,
too.
it holds up tremendously. That is Alec Baldwin's best role, other than Jack Ryan in Hunt for Red October.
100% agree. Yeah.
That David Mamet, I love David Mamet, and that to me is just the perfect movie about sales.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Show it to somebody who's not in sales, it will depress them. Whereas the sales guy's going, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my day. Get kicked in the balls every day.
Yes, sir.
What else you got on there?
Babe.
Yeah, I never saw it. I aged out of that one.
House Party. Come on.
Was that
House
Kid and
Party?
Play?
Yeah, that was great.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see House Party?
Do I look like the demo?
you
Lance,
see
do
it?
I look like the demo?
House Party's great.
Lance is the...
They need to do another one where they're the parents and the kids are like some other cool rap kid. Oh, they did that?
Oh, they...
Damn it. Hollywood taking my ideas.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan's big comeback to the U.S. Big fan of Jackie Chan. So I was happy about that, but also not happy because it was a shitty movie. But I'm happy that he got recognition finally. Army of Darkness.
Oh.
Yes. One of the best movies of all time.
Lady, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. What ending did you like better?
I like the ending that they kept. I don't like the Rip Van Winkle thing.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I like the one he comes back. And
S. Martin shoots the demon.
I had a friend tell me, you got to see this. I'm looking at the poster. I'm like, this isn't me. I'm not a horror movie guy. This, like, you just got to give it a chance. And I never did. One day I'm sitting at home, Comedy Channel. All right. And I come across the boomstick scene. And I can't stop laughing. And I'm like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I just, the juxtaposition of what he's trying to do to people who clearly have no understanding. It's like, yes, this is my type of humor. This is smart.
Yep.
And I've come since to realize that Bruce Campbell is truly America's greatest living actor.
Right. He's awesome.
He's great.
He's fantastic. Yeah. He's our generation's John Wayne.
Yes. Yes.
John Wayne was just always John Wayne. Bruce Campbell's always Bruce Campbell.
No matter what role it is, even when he's on
Xena.
Xena, I was going to say the Burn Notice.
Yeah.
With
True.
Sean Poza.
Even in Briscoe County, he was still...
Briscoe County, again, another show Fox screwed up like Firefly.
Yeah. Briscoe
that
County
was
Jr.
really
was
good, and the
great.
writing kept getting better.
It should have had... should have had at least 5-6 seasons.
Absolutely.
At least.
Yeah, and then he went on to do Jack of Trades, which was
yeah, I know.
Not so great.
So another big one in the 90s, Fifth Element. I love this movie.
Man,
one of my all-time favorites.
Could not do that. Chris Tucker killed me. I
Yep.
couldn't do it. I
love
cannot
that
listen
movie.
to that man talk.
Men in Black?
It was all right. I didn't share the love for it.
As good as it gets?
I have the movie poster.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I saw it 12 times in the theater.
Did you really? Wow.
Dude.
It was okay.
I totally kind of get him
Yeah.
with just, not that I'm obsessive compulsive,
Right.
but just kind of the whole, I want things the way I want them. I want to sit where I sit every time. Just, I don't want to be messed with.
Right.
But the whole, where did they teach you how to talk like that? Some Panama City sailor won a hump bar? Like, I love this guy. It was great. And I empathized with his character.
Right.
And to this day, I still say good times and noodle salad.
Nice. I may have to watch it again. I've only seen it once.
What's that?
I said I may have to watch that again. I've only seen it
Yeah,
once.
it's, I don't know that it holds up. One of Greg Kinnear's better roles.
Yeah, definitely.
I never really got the Greg Kinnear thing, but he was really good in that.
I liked him in Mystery Men because it was silly. Yeah.
Mystery Men, an underrated film.
Yeah, very much so. Great,
William
funny.
H. Macy was
Funny.
great in it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Ben Stiller. I thought he was funny.
Yeah. He played to his strengths.
Yeah, and again, one of those, if you're the comic book purist, clearly not loyal to it. But for
Right.
me, coming in not knowing it, I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. For what it was, I loved it.
Yeah, and Eddie Izzard was in it.
Yeah.
And you know who else was in it? Somebody we both revile.
Who?
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay was.
Play one of the douchey guys.
Yeah. Can we take the beers, bro?
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can bring Zabrewskis.
Oh,
Austin Powers was in the 90s.
yeah.
Not a fan of that.
You know, the first one I think I went and saw. I was on a date, I think, and saw that. It had moments, but then after that, he went to the well
Yeah.
way too many times.
My probably my favorite Stallone movie, if I had to pick one, honestly. Besides the original Rocky, this is probably my favorite Stallone movie of all time. Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. He doesn't know how to use the seashells.
No, he does
that,
not.
and I think we've talked about that about Guilty Pleasures. I like that movie.
I do.
And it's not a great film.
No, but it's fun.
As you watch it from 2019, you're like, oh, we're getting kind of close to that. Like, no. You can't swear in public. You're fine.
Right.
You can't do this. You're fine. It's illegal to eat spicy food. It's illegal to have an emotion that the consensus doesn't
Agree with. Yeah.
It's really kind of spooky
Yeah.
how we get to that point where people are trying to control our actions and tell us what is good for us. And I look at a lot of people and I think, you're a fucking moron. You know, you're killing yourself. But at the same time, I'm like, you're right. That's your privilege to do with as you will, because I don't want somebody telling me what to do.
Right. But we got people telling us what to do all the time with cigars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So The Crow was in the 90s. I was a big fan of that movie.
I did like The Crow.
Yeah. Not again, completely different than the comic, but It was, for what it was good. You didn't get the skeleton cowboy guiding him along the way and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
they made it more. There's so much that goes on with comics as far as backstory that you kind of have to focus them down.
Right.
But I do remember, I did like The Crow. That was my first exposure to it.
Yeah. It was great.
He also did, what was it, Showdown Little Tokyo with Dolph Lundgren?
Awful movie. Awful.
Yeah.
But it's also a guilty pleasure.
It was one of those. They were really trying to find out, how do we cast Brandon Lee? Obviously,
Right.
we want him to do martial arts and kind of be that guy like his dad, but they never really found the right vehicle till I think The Crow.
The Crow was really a good vehicle.
But unfortunately got
Yeah.
killed on the set.
And when I had read the comic and had been a fan of it, and the graphic novel, called that, whenever they cast it, I was like, because I loved Brandon Lee. I thought he had a lot of potential, but I was
Right.
like, I don't know if he's got the edge for that. I just didn't think he was going to pull it off, and he pulled it off fantastically.
And then didn't they do like several shitty
Yeah.
remakes after
Yeah,
that?
after he died, yeah.
You know what else I think came out in the 90s? The original Punisher
Ah,
with Dolph Lundgren,
yes.
where they didn't have the rights to anything.
Right. Awful. Nightmare Before Christmas was in the 90s. That's a big one, and it's become a cult classic.
Oh, that's right, it was. Yeah, man. I mean, that's how Hot Topic makes all their money.
Exactly. From Dusk Till Dawn. Fun little collaboration
Tarantino
there
film.
from Tarantino and Rodriguez. Pie, which was the beginning of a good career there
Wow, I
for Aronofsky.
yeah, that was a weird film. I loved it. I don't know what the hell it was about, really.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels was the America's introduction to Guy Ritchie.
The best Jason Statham film ever.
Yeah, totally.
I still look at him and I'm like, why do you do? Well, obviously for the paycheck, but he
Right.
does a lot of shitty action films.
He
It's
does.
like you're actually a better actor than you lead on.
I know, he is.
That was great. Vince Jones was in it.
Have you... Vinnie Jones, yeah.
Vinnie Jones.
Have you seen... It's a chess reference. I'll think about it in a little bit. Anyway, he did a movie called Revolver.
Okay.
Not a lot of people have seen it. It was Guy Ritchie, and it kind of came in under the radar and just kind of floated away. But it's a really complex, weird flick, and he does a great job in it.
Worth watching.
Yeah, definitely worth
Okay.
watching. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Wayne's World was big again. You're not a fan
Yeah,
of...
I had a buddy who was really into it, so I think I watched it. I remember the funny again because I picked the weirdest line. The biggest laugh I had in that movie was when Garth jumped. They all fall to the ground. He goes, "Oh, I landed on my keys." That to me the highlight of the movie. Take everything else, and you know what? The other thing that movie did. You cannot listen to Queen in the car now
Right.
without banging your head at that exact moment.
Exactly, yeah.
What was that, Bohemian Rhapsody,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
totally.
You're listening, and then all of a sudden you watch everybody in the car. You don't even have to tell everybody, hey, we're going to do this.
Right.
You all just start doing it.
Yep.
And that's because of the movie.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Also increased Gremlin sales, too. Or was that a Pacer?
I don't even know. It's one of those ugly cars.
It
I think
was
it was a
a
Pacer.
Pacer.
That's a
Yeah.
big bit. Dazed and Confused. So the world's
Yeah.
introduction to Linklater after the first one he did, but this was the big one. The Piano
Yeah.
was a big movie. Harvey Keitel and Holly Hunter. Something About Mary was a big hit.
Yeah. Didn't like it.
Shakespeare in Love won the Oscar.
Didn't see it.
Braveheart.
I did watch that before I
Pre-racist Mel Gibson.
Pre-racist Mel Gibson. Always a racist before
Well,
he came out of the closet.
Right. Pre-closeted.
I think that's what I'm going to say. Mel Gibson came out of the closet. But yeah, I mean, it was a great movie
The Sandlot. That's one of mine. I love it.
to this day.
Great movie.
I still have the shirt that my kid got me. You're killing me, Smalls.
Right. Greatness.
Yeah, that is a
And to have Dennis Leary in it in like a serious turn was just
yeah,
like,
not being crazy. Did you? Speaking of Dennis Leary, Kevin Spacey movie, The Ref.
Yeah, The
did
Ref
you
was
see that?
great. Yeah,
that's
a great flick.
It
Yeah.
really was.
It's a good Christmas movie.
For a Jew, he loves. I love it.
Right.
It's like, oh, this works.
Right.
That and Die Hard.
Right. Aladdin was a big deal. Tombstone. Great movie.
I do love Tombstone.
Casino was a good flick for Scorsese too.
I liked it. I don't know if it holds up for me as well. Maybe because it's just so long. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Tombstone's great though. That holds up.
Tombstone totally holds up. Randy Rankin would take issue with that.
Right.
Much prefers Wyatt Earp, which I also like. But
For enjoyment factor, Tombstone wins out
Tombstone's
every
the
time.
popcorn western.
Right.
I look at that, and then I look at what Disney keeps doing wrong with the Lone Ranger. I'm like, why can't you combine the two?
Right.
A Tombstone-like movie about the Lone Ranger, that would be perfect.
Great.
But
Would be
somehow it just eludes them.
No, it does. Big hit for Keanu Reeves here, Speed. Turned Keanu Reeves into an action
God,
star.
I hate that I like that movie.
Right.
It fit his personality. They didn't ask for a lot out of him.
Right.
But it really, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Home Alone.
Nah, I don't care.
One of the better... Okay, I'll say this. I think Joel Schumacher's a shitty director.
Yeah.
But sometimes he makes good movies.
And that one was...
This is a good movie from him. Falling Down. Michael Douglas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That was Schumacher.
That was Schumacher. That was the movie he made after he fucked up the Batman series.
Dude, I love that movie.
It's a great fucking movie.
Like as good as it gets. I probably relate a little too much to that character.
Right.
Where you've just had a really, really bad day. That's right, it was Schumacher. Which tells you it's not so much that a lot of it has to go to the writing. You know, they always talk about when they do the ads, you know, from the executive producer up, from the director up. Like, that to me doesn't matter as much as who's the writer. And I think that shows that, you know, give Schumacher a decent script, he can do something with it.
Right. Like, unfortunately, he did St. Elmo's Fire, which I hated.
Yeah, that was...
DC Cab was fun. That was really his first
That was...
hit.
He did that?
Yeah.
With Mr. T?
Yep. He did.
That was Mr. T's first feature film.
Mm-hmm. Lost Boys was a big one for him. That put him in the stratosphere. Flatliners did pretty well for him as well, but that was kind of the descent.
Wasn't that when Keanu and Julia Roberts started dating?
I believe so, or something in there. Dying Young was a big one for him.
Oh, that was that tearjerker. Julia Roberts gets cancer movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Then
you had The Client, which did pretty well for him as well. Falling Down was a year or two before he destroyed the Batman series with Batman Forever.
Okay.
Then he did A Time to Kill, which was a big deal. Batman and Robin.
Really?
Yep.
He did A Time to Kill.
He did A Time to Kill. So he's got like really good films in his list here, but like he's got some real fucking stinkers too.
Yeah, I gotta say it's got to be the writing on those.
To go from Batman and Robin to Flawless. I mean, how do you fucking go from Batman and Robin to Flawless? Did you see Flawless?
Mm-mm.
Dude, Flawless is badass.
What's
Robert De Niro, Philip Seymour Hoffman. It was like the year I think Philip Seymour got the Oscar or whatever. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a fucking watch. It's a phenomenal movie.
What am I missing?
Yeah, it's a good flick. 8mm, which was super dark.
Yeah,
you know,
Nicolas Cage, right?
Yeah,
the child porn.
Right. Tigerland, Phone Booth, Bad Company.
Phone Booth, I remember, was an interesting premise, but
yeah, it didn't hold my interest enough.
No.
Number 23. That was one of the what's his name's try to get serious and do something scary movie.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. So yes, I mean he's had some good stuff and he's had some total shit, but yeah, Joel Schumacher did Falling Down. It's crazy to think of.
Man.
That. Reality Bites was a big deal then.
Yeah, that was very much the Gen Xer.
The Crying Game. Ooh.
I have a story about that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do tell. Was it is it you having a crying game moment? Because I don't want to hear that story. But
no,
okay,
no. Unless you count the film. So in the 90s, I met a gal.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't live in the same city, but we corresponded. She was the first person that I fell for. It was like that I had feelings where it's like I feel things and I understand songs. And so we would write and God, this is embarrassing. This isn't even the crying game part. This is just the pre part. She told me to go see Ghost because she had seen it. So it's like, oh, okay. So we're like going to go see the same movie together, but separately, and then write about it.
Right.
Because we didn't have the internet, kids. And
wait, on paper?
Yeah,
with a pen?
We wrote it down, and then I would go to the mailbox and see if I got an envelope from her that smelled like her perfume.
Cursive or
I printed. She wrote
printed.
cursive.
Okay.
So she said it was really good. So I go see it, and I'm like, oh, look, love, and they're separate. That whole thing, you know, like
right.
Whatever. I'm thinking of her, and like, oh, it's special. People have feelings. So then the next one she tells me to go see is The Crying Game. Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting this to be like Ghost. I'm expecting that there's going to be feelings, and it's a touching romance, and Stephen Rea falls for a woman, and it's very
Right.
ghost-like. Yeah, I didn't know what it was about. And, I mean, a good movie, but I remember, here's the thing, too. I went by myself. And at no point, not till the pivotal scene, did I go, oh, that's why there's so many dudes on dates in here. Like, oh, okay. Like, well, huh. Like, I totally misread this. And, yeah, I was like, okay. So then I wrote her and was like, what the hell? Like, warn a guy. It's like, I'm expecting one thing. It's like, I didn't know he was dating a transgendered woman.
Right.
Come on. A heads up. So I could go to the theater and not, at least take a buddy so I don't look pathetically single like, oh, look, he can't meet a man. Or at least a girl so, they'll think at least I have a gay best friend. Something.
Right.
Like, don't send me in there by myself. I might still be more ashamed of going to see Ghosts, though.
Right. And liking it. You liked it.
I like The Righteous Brothers.
Okay. Here's the best Quentin Tarantino movie not directed by Quentin Tarantino, but written by him. True Romance.
Yeah, I like True Romance. That is good.
Great flick. Tony Scott directed that. Same guy that directed Top Gun. Believe that shit? Independence Day was a big one. Point Break was also in the 90s, so Keanu had the back-to-back action flicks.
I remember the marketing hype for Independence Day, and that was just freaking huge.
Yep.
That was that level where it's like, man, this hasn't been done before, and they're like, no, the whole theater, we've got 5 screens that are nothing but Independence Day.
Mm.
And then the other one I remember that came out in the 90s that was like that was Godzilla.
Yeah, and that was a
Ferris versus the
big,
Lizard.
giant failure. Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Was a big one. Face Off. One of the better John Woo movies. I love that movie. It's so stupid, but I love it. Swingers. Good flick.
You're so money, baby. You're so money, and you don't even know it. That was one. See, now that girl I should have kept dating because that was recommended to me, and I still love that movie to this day.
That's a great flick.
Vince Vaughn's best movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, easily. That's when you didn't. That's when you don't know that he's not acting. It's just
right.
Vince
That's just
Vince
him.
Vaughn, yeah.
Oh, I'm the asshole. Mm-hmm. I'm the asshole.
Galaxy Quest, the best non-Star Trek movie about Star Trek.
Absolutely.
Fucking awesome.
That
movie.
was. Yeah, it reminds me. Have you seen? Are you keeping up with the Orville?
I am not. Have not seen this season yet. They're four episodes in, right?
The last one they did, really solid. And when I say solid, I mean I'm talking about actual science fiction writing that it could be a serious Trek episode.
Wow. Okay.
It was really, they took it seriously.
That's awesome.
There's still the offhanded humor, but it was like, wow, McFarlane, you can tell he really loves that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It seems like I was telling Danny when we were watching the first season, I'm like, this is like if the Star Trek cartoon had kept going on. You know?
Yes.
That's really what it's like. It's just, it's great. It's great. And I heard the first episode of Discovery was awesome. I haven't seen it yet, yeah.
Of the new season?
Of the new season. They're saying
I haven't seen any of it because I know Pike's on it now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Total Recall was in the 90s as well, so that was a good one for Schwarzenegger. Dumb and Dumber, your favorite. The Fugitive.
That was actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that one.
The Sixth Sense was also in the 90s, as well as Ed Wood. Train Spotting. That was a fun one.
I did like me some Train Spotting.
Magnolia, which I actually liked quite a bit.
You know, the one movie Tom Cruise did that I didn't hate, I really like Magnolia. That is, again,
flick.
Weird movie, but so many great stories in that.
And another really great 90s movie. You ready for this one? I know you love this movie. You have to love it. If you don't love it, I'm not your friend anymore. The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, I do love it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing Bryan Singer didn't screw up.
Right.
He screwed up Superman Returns. No, and another great vehicle for Kevin Spacey.
Right. Great movie for him.
Incredibly well done. And probably the Stephen Baldwin's best movie ever.
Right. Reservoir Dogs was also in the 90s.
I did. And, another thing that the Reservoir Dogs gave us, the walk.
Right.
How many times you been out and you just start walking slow motion?
Yep.
Exactly.
Edward Scissorhands. Beauty and the Beast.
Was that 90s?
7? Yeah.
Oh, I did like 7.
Yeah.
That was
David Fincher doing some good stuff.
What's in the box?
Yep.
That was also spacey.
Here's one I'd be surprised if you don't like this movie. Being John Malkovich.
I did.
Yeah.
That was a trippy. It still is a trippy movie.
Yeah.
What threw me about that movie? It looked cool. John Cusack's in it. I like John Cusack. I go to the movie. This is not a John Cusack movie that I'm thinking. I'm thinking Sure Thing, Say Anything.
Right, right.
Nope. Completely different. But yeah, really, really trippy.
Yeah.
But I did like it.
Yeah. Good flick. Boogie Nights. Another Paul Thomas Anderson. So he had a good run in the 90s. It was Boogie Nights and Magnolia.
Run Lola Run.
Yep. Run Lola Run's in there,
Not
too.
a lot of people have seen that, but
Yeah,
that
great
was
flick.
that was solid.
Yep. The Professional. Luc Besson's best film.
Oh, by
Hands down.
far.
Hands down.
And every introduction to Natalie Portman. I did like that movie.
Great movie.
A heart-touching film
Right.
about a hired assassin, but
Right.
very heartfelt.
You got to watch the. Did you ever see Leon? The
Yeah, I did.
original cut? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's better.
Yeah,
It's definitely better.
they can't. They did.
Yeah. Heat. Big one in the 90s.
The only real good film that Al Pacino and De Niro did well together. They did
Right.
Righteous Kill to put them together, and it
And
was
that
just
was
a
awful.
crappy
Yeah.
conflict. But the scene with the two of them, where they were both still acting, Pacino wasn't yelling, De Niro wasn't phoning it in.
Right.
It was like, wow,
Great fucking scene.
that's an amazing.
That
scene.
movie is two scenes. It's that scene and it's the bank heist. That's the
Right.
two scenes. The
and a
shootout.
Michael Mann film, right?
Yeah, Michael Mann.
Which, like, one of his few films that doesn't look like an episode of Miami Vice.
Right.
He has a definite style.
He does, yeah. Pretty Woman. Big deal for what's her name? Julia
I
Roberts.
wasn't big on it.
I wasn't big on it either, yeah. Total chick flick. Office Space. Great movie.
That holds up to this day.
does.
I mean, anybody who's seen that
Yeah.
is going, or just relates to it.
And, of course, your personal favorite, I think, Clerks.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Exactly.
that movie to me, I related to that.
Yeah. That's a yearly watch for me. Sometimes Mallrats gets a couple
Yeah.
years skip.
Mallrats was kind of like the commercial Kevin Smith. They hired him to come in and kind of like do the teen flick with,
Right.
boobs in it once. But
Dogma, I love. I love Dogma.
the writing in Mallrats was strong. Even Chasing Amy, by far Ben Affleck's best performance ever.
Right.
And now he's too good to, I guess, return Kevin Smith's calls. Or you can't take calls at rehab. I don't know.
Right. Or he's too swole, so he can't even get the phone to his ear.
He didn't sleep through the film like Batman.
Right.
I think this is where we insert our shot at Zack Snyder.
Right.
We've missed him over the last few.
We have that cunt.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. Big one.
It was. It again holds up. That was kind of a resurgence for Anthony Hopkins, and he started taking a lot different roles after that. I think because different things were offered to him.
Right.
But he was in. I think the first time I remember him was from The Elephant Man,
Right.
where he played the doctor. Oddly, a David Lynch film.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, they started putting him in more action roles. There was one he was lost in the woods with.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, and he was screwing Alec Baldwin's wife.
Yeah.
Or he was screwing Anthony Hopkins' wife, something like that.
Yeah.
They're going to kill each other, but then they have to rely on each other.
Yeah.
Definitely material way below what Anthony Hopkins can deliver.
Right.
And then he did Hannibal.
Yeah.
I hope they backed just a cash truck up to him. And
That was awful. Good Will Hunting. You've got to like that movie. I know you don't like Robin Williams, but you got to at least like Good Will Hunting.
I did. I don't believe that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are capable of writing it.
Oh, no, you know the story behind that, right?
You've told me.
Yeah.
Remind me.
So they had turned the script that they turned in was like basically an action movie. Was like kind of like Beautiful Mind meets action movie.
What?
And
That's right.
yeah, and then they got written so many different times by different ghostwriters that it became this other thing. But they still technically get credit for it because they wrote the original screenplay. So
See, I just know that they can't write something like that.
yeah, Toy Story,
I did like Toy Story. That was fun.
Groundhog Day.
Bill Murray, it's some of his best work.
Yep, Fargo. That's a fun one.
I love Fargo.
Yep, it's a greatness.
There's So far, it seemed like there's more solid stuff here than on an '80s list.
Yeah, I think so too. But it
Yeah.
also could be because that's when we really started enjoying movies. I
That's
think.
true.
Boys in the Hood, big movie,
Didn't see it.
great movie.
I
Unforgiven,
did like
that's
Unforgiven.
possibly the best.
I've heard Boys in the
Clint
Hood is
Eastwood
good. I
movie.
just couldn't.
Yeah.
It's like I have no points of reference.
Right.
I grew up in El Paso.
Right.
If it could have been like Vatos in I can't even think of the word. Yeah, Vata.
East LA.
Vatos in East L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
You done?
I'm sitting. No, I'm sitting. I can't think of the word for hood in
Barrio?
Barrio. Thank you. We can move on now.
Okay.
Thanks
Rushmore.
for your patience,
You're
listeners.
welcome. You like
Rushmore's-
Wes Anderson?
I love
Rushmore?
Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Great flick.
Another great Bill Murray flick.
Big documentary in the 90s, Hoop Dreams.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Iron Giant, underrated, I think.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
So in the there's an homage to not an homage. It's a straight out reference to Iron Giant in the new Tick that they do on Amazon.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you cannot miss it.
Oh, the head, when they're working inside the head? Yeah, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I did love Iron Giant. I might water my beard
The best Vin Diesel
when I
movie
watch
ever.
that. That's true.
It really is.
Yeah, and then followed by Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Basically anything he's not in, he just
It's
speaks.
just his voice? That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, let him do some Shakespeare. Let's see what happens. Scream. Big hit for Wes Craven.
It
and
was.
the start of a whole movement there. Saving Private Ryan. Rough movie.
That is. I remember when they talked about showing that on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, do we edit it? And they're like, no, we're going to show this uncut. But yeah, if you definitely not the war movies you grew up with John Wayne watching him storm the beach, the heroics. No,
Yeah.
it takes all the glory, all the machismo out of war and makes it very, very human.
Yep, very much so. And my favorite Russell Crowe movie ever, L.A. Confidential.
That is what Russell Crowe, Guy
Kevin
Pearce,
Spacey again.
Yeah, that is
James Cromwell.
that I love.
Great.
So well
great
done.
flick.
It really captures a great time in L.A. That kind of noir, Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe.
Right. in a way that
time.
hadn't been done in a long time. They did it really
Yeah,
well.
and you know what other film kind of similar was Mulholland Drive in the 90s, or was that
I thought it
2000s?
might have been
David
2000s,
Lynch.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me just that L.A. vibe, but yeah, I love that.
Goodfellas was a big one.
Yeah,
It's a good movie. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
seen it, but I like the original better.
Clueless.
No,
Friday. Greatness.
I finally saw that.
Yeah. love
Well, because I had people quoting it, and they're like, "You haven't seen Friday?" I'm like, "I haven't seen Friday."
Did you like
And-
it?
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, the scene in the kitchen with his dad, that was like being at home. How come every time I'm in the kitchen, you're in the kitchen? I like chicken, and like, why are you in the kitchen? It's like, wow, this is like being at home. My dad's like, why are you eating again?
Right.
I'm hungry.
One of my favorites, Fight Club.
Love Fight Club. You know
Yeah.
they've done sequels.
No.
Seriously. Chuck Palahniuk did 2 graphic novel sequels.
Really?
I think
Okay,
there's
check
definitely
those out.
Fight Club 2, and then I think he's working on a 3rd.
I wonder if it... Okay, so this is one of those ones where I was a fan of the book before I saw the movie. Mm-hmm. And it kind of... When I saw the movie, I'm like, that's... Did you ever read the book?
No.
Okay, so...
I've read Chuck Palahniuk, but not that one.
In the book, first chapter in, that he's both. He's got a split personality.
Really?
So it's like right at the start of the book. So the rest of it's not a surprise. The way they did it in the film, I think, was so much more effective, and it really kind of just was a game changer for it. And to the point where, Chuck even said, "Hey, I wish I'd thought of that." So it was a big deal, and I thought it was so well done. Such a nihilistic film for a time when that really wasn't kind of in vogue. But again, it was around the same time as Schindler's List too, so you can't really say that was like the most fun movie ever made either. Spielberg was in a dark place in the 90s.
He really was. It was. I get Schindler's List. That's his. Yeah, he wanted to tell the story and tell a story with some hope as well.
Right.
I've seen it twice. Like I said, can't do it anymore. Like
Right.
Life is Beautiful. Like no, I get it. I can't see it again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. you can't watch it and not be moved. If you are, you're not human.
Right.
Or you're Mel Gibson.
Jurassic Park. Fun, entertaining movie
and man,
in the 90s.
That became a whole franchise unto itself.
Yeah,
that
still going.
Yeah.
Still going. After like 2 or 3 failures, it finally got on again.
Yeah. I liked it. I remember after that, I was kind of like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
It got ran into the ground for me.
The Matrix, one good movie out of a trilogy.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
Great.
remember we had a group staying at the I was living in Kansas City, and we had a group staying at our hotel. I want to say it was NASA. It might have been.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guests was talking. He was one of the guys who worked at NASA, I want to say. And talking about just, what he's done. Oh, I went and saw a movie while I've been staying. Oh, I saw The Matrix. Have you seen it? No. Man, I don't get it. I don't know what that's about. It is so weird. I cannot comprehend that. And then I saw the movie. I'm like, the fuck you working at NASA? You can't figure out The Matrix? I mean, it's like, it's not that hard.
Right.
You're trying to send people to space. You can't figure out this movie. It's like, it
that's
doesn't
bad.
bury the lead. I mean, it's not a straightforward movie necessarily.
Right.
But it's not overly convoluted either.
No, it's pretty simple.
And again, another great role for
Keanu Reeves, yeah.
Keanu.
Had a good run in the 90s there.
He did.
Here's a cult classic that I think it did pretty well when it came out. I'm not sure, but I know it's a big thing now. Big Lebowski.
I do love me some Big Lebowski.
Me too.
That is, yeah.
This
They
is
don't roll on Shabbos.
the worst James Cameron movie ever, Titanic.
I left during the second hour.
I can't do it.
I stayed in the bathroom and wandered the lobby for the second hour. Again, date movie.
Mm-hmm.
I came back in with like an hour left,
Mm.
like after the ship crashed.
Yeah.
Or hit the iceberg, rather. And I finished out the movie. But, yeah.
That date probably didn't go well, huh?
No, it did. It was fine. I made up some excuse.
Right.
Because it wasn't a first date. Thank God. But yeah, that was so bad. I have a theory. You tell me what you think. At the end of it, when Jack dies, she totally goes back to Billy Zane, right? I mean, like
yeah,
the
of
hot
course.
bald dude. Like,
Yeah.
all right, that's done. He forgives her, and then she just lives a life of wealth off of his money, and they
Right.
kind of just have an arranged thing.
Has a couple, one-off guys here and there. A couple of Jack. They're always named Jack for some reason.
Like Jerry Jones and his wife.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The Lion King was big in the 90s,
It was.
giving the 90s kids a scare and
Hakuna Matata?
teaching them about death and Hakuna Matata at the same time. Shawshank Redemption, great movie.
I do love it, but man, I kind of wore out on it when it was on TNT every day for 4 years straight. Like,
Right.
okay,
I get it. Yeah.
I got it. And the other thing too is while watching it on TNT, then you watch the actual movie, you kind of forget how rough the actual movie is
Yeah.
because you've just watched it on TNT.
Right. Pulp Fiction was the number one.
Do love Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
That is, there's so much to love about it. The special edition, all the deleted scenes. It made me not hate John Travolta.
Right.
By far his best movie ever.
Right.
You got great Sam Jackson in there. Everybody really stepped up their game. Tim Roth was fantastic. And Tim Roth, who, by the way, can do any accent ever
Right.
and pull it off. But so many classic lines in there.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a great one as well.
It is. So
And you know what else? Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown,
Underrated
great,
Quentin Tarantino
yeah.
film.
I like most of his films actually. I think there's only a handful that.
Did you see Four Rooms?
Yeah, I love Four Rooms.
Yeah, I like the one he and Robert Rodriguez did.
It's
The other two
it's
were
uneven.
okay, but
It's uneven because of
it
that.
is,
Yeah.
but very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think I own that.
Do you?
Yeah, tells you how much I liked it.
Right.
I actually owned it.
So what happened in the 90s as far as like culturally?
Well, we had the Hubble Space Telescope go up.
That's a big deal.
We had somebody named Clinton elected.
Nah,
Yeah,
saxophone guy.
from the Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah.
You really had a change in politics, I think, in the 90s that you did not have prior to that. You always had Democrats versus Republicans. You always had outspoken voices on each side. But I think in the 90s, with the election of Clinton, is when you really got the vitriol, or the beginning of the vitriol that has brought us to the point we are today. And I really look at that as owing to Rush Limbaugh.
I was going to say because Hillary Clinton.
I think just the way, yes, the way.
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh definitely. Yeah,
that was the beginning of it, because that was really. He's not the first guy to do political radio. He's by far the best. When I say that as a broadcast. He is a broadcaster, or him as a broadcaster. But that was really when you had somebody start putting labels on people they didn't like, feminazis, libtards, words that this person created to identify the opposition.
Yep.
And then it became, if you're one of them, you're a bad person. Not, you and I disagree on this topic, but then if you disagree, you're not a good human being. You're evil. You hate America. And it just continued on.
Right.
And, you had Fox News come into fruition in the 90s, MSNBC, and you had already had CNN. Then you start to have the commentators come on, and everything starts being opinion. I think Limbaugh was really the beginning of that with Clinton.
Right.
And, of course, then you had the Monica Lewinsky scandal, which led to a vote on impeachment.
Right.
With him. And it really just became a more divisive time, I think, politically.
Yeah.
Than any other that we had ever seen, and it stayed with us.
Unfortunately, yeah.
There was a time when you talked about the opposition, but you still maintained a level of respect. You didn't villainize, and
right.
I think you really saw that more so than any other time, and it just gave birth to to a lot of different things.
Rush Limbaugh was working, right? He was very popular. He was making money, so of course everybody else jumped on the bandwagon and tried to kind of replicate
the other thing that we forget about. There was also the first World Trade Center bombing. People forget it was bombed in '93. The Oklahoma City bombing with Timothy McVeigh, because he was a Gulf War vet,
right?
And that was actually, I think he was. I know he was former military, but that was in retaliation for what they called the Waco massacre,
right?
The Camp Davidians, which, man, that again filled a news cycle. Because you had the FBI going in, and you got people who fall on both sides of that. Should the FBI go in and try to take a private citizen's arms? Should you take their weapons, and that they're right?
Right.
But at the same time, you've got somebody who is clearly a threat, and then the whole thing just goes to hell in a handbasket. Do
you remember all the coverage on that here locally?
Oh yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, because you're talking 2.5 hours down the road. And everybody, had an opinion on it,
right? And
still do, for that matter. But yeah, because of his views on it, McVeigh decides he's going to blow up the Oklahoma City Federal Building.
Yeah,
I can still see images of that.
Yeah,
again, one of those things where do you remember where you were?
Right.
So you had the Lewinsky scandal that came up. That made her pretty much a front page name.
Yeah.
You also had...
and you get a term for that, too. Oh, that dress is Lewinsky.
Lewinsky?
Yeah, that became a thing. People say that now.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I don't know. I just made it up, but it sounds good.
I would have totally bought it if you wouldn't have said anything. Of course, Clinton beat Bush for re-election. Some people attribute that to a Texas native named Ross Perot.
Yep.
Because that was when the world was introduced to Ross Perot. Because his big thing was NAFTA.
And Dana Carvey's impersonation of Ross Perot. Which is what probably a lot of people know.
That's true.
More than the
much
actual
like
Ross
Bush.
Perot. Right.
People remember his not prudent, not going to do it.
Right.
Bush wasn't like that. That wasn't even how he talked.
Right.
Same with Ross Perot. A
There's
little
just-
more spot on with Ross Perot.
He's just doing gross exaggerations of, you know,
He is.
like
It-
the Mad
kind of a-
Magazine.
it's a caricature.
Yeah, it's the Mad Magazine version of that person.
Yeah.
In vocal sense, yeah.
And that, but to the voters, that kind of becomes in their mind.
Right.
But, you know, Clinton won with less than 50% of the vote.
Interesting.
It was split between Perot and Bush.
Wow.
So the argument, and of course, there's always that theory that Perot was somehow upset at Bush, so that's why he decided to run,
Right.
was to kind of sabotage the campaign.
Sabotage.
Sabotage. Now, what we're going to do, going to listen? I need my chart. Need my chart.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I liked, I don't know.
It's always
I don't
fun-
know
it's
much
always-
about him, but I always kind of thought Ross.
It's always
Perot
fun
was-
when someone becomes famous that you can do an impression of, because then you've got something, you know. And you're
Man, I can't do much anymore. You do some good impressions, though.
Yeah,
You can do
been
some
doing it
wicked
in a
good
while.
impressions.
What else you got? What else you got? You got a couple more minutes.
Desert Storm in '91.
Yeah. Big deal.
You know, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, and that was under Bush's watch. They were talking about instituting the draft
Right.
to bring people out, and I was of draft age at the time. I'd signed up for selective service. I'm like, oh my god, but turns out it wasn't necessary
Yeah.
to do that. And you know, wisely, I remember that's when you had Norman Schwarzkopf and Colin Powell as well. I think Powell was the head of the Joint Chiefs, I want to say at the time. I could be wrong. But I remember there was always that talk of, okay, we've pushed them back to their side of the line. Let's go take Iraq. Let's keep going. And the attitude among, I know Colin Powell was, if we break this, we own this. We're not leaving here. And they were smart about, no. We came here with the objective of pushing him back, getting him out of Kuwait. We've done that. Objective achieved. Let's go home. And when you had the second Persian Gulf War, there was really no idea of like, if we check off these 5 things, then we get to go home.
Right.
And they call that the Powell Doctrine of like have an exit strategy, which you saw very much in the Gulf because Saddam was in place, but didn't invade Kuwait anymore.
Right.
And you can go into what led to other acts of terror and led to the formation of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. But at the time, that was very much, I think, the right decision.
Right.
And one of my favorite, you remember what Schwarzkopf looked like. He was he was a big dude, but he also had a bit of a gut on him.
Right.
He hadn't missed a meal.
Yeah.
And it was a press conference in one of the tents. They've got all the reporters embedded. And somebody decides to ask him, you know, you want your troops ready and fit and ready to go. Do you think you present a good image? He's like, we could step outside. I'm like, nope, I'm good. He was great. Everybody loved him. He got a book out of it. But those were the big things. You just had, I think you had Germany reunified in the 90s.
Yeah.
You had the disillusionment of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union broke up. All that stuff that they went in and took from people because they didn't have a flag, apparently.
Right.
That broke up, and you ended up with all these little small countries that used to be a part of the USSR that now Vladimir Putin is trying to get back.
Right. Yeah.
So, apparently, he's a great strategist. You know, he told Trump that he should pull out of Syria, and son of a bitch, we're pulling out of Syria. So, man's full of good advice.
Right.
So, I mean, there was a lot of those things that happened, and probably more than we even realized,
Right.
because we were so busy being 20-year-olds.
Yeah. And getting into movies and music and TV. Yeah.
You know, one of the most important things that happened in my life in the 90s?
What's that?
1996, September 1996. I smoked my first cigar.
Ah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. 22 years later.
Wow.
Still doing it.
That's awesome.
So,
That's a good
That's
note
a big
to end on
takeaway
right
from the
there.
90s.
Yeah.
What were we doing? We were wrapping up. You were going to tell everybody where they could contact us.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to give us your ideas or comments, you can go on Twitter at Love to Hate Pod. You can also use that same catchphrase there, Love to Hate Pod, over at Instagram. Catchphrase? Not really a catchphrase.
No. I wish we had a camera. My dog just crawled behind Brandon's back
To get out.
to get out
Yeah.
because Lance scared him.
And you can also go to Facebook and like us on Facebook and leave us your comments there. Just let us know what you think about the show. If you have any ideas, things you want us to cover, and we'll check it out.
All right, kids. That's it for another week. We'll talk to you soon.